Hello everyone, it's Kari, and today I'm going to be using one of my all-time favorite bunny stamps. It's this one here from Stamping Bella called Nice to Meet You, Hoppy Poppy. And I've had this stamp for a really long time. In the spring, I always like to bring it out and use it in a different way. So I'm going to be combining it with this red rubber giant flower stamp. This is an unmounted red rubber stamp. And I thought it would be fun and a challenge to try to combine the two. So I'll start out by removing that extra foam piece. Since this Hoppy Poppy stamp is already mounted on some cling foam, I'm going to be able to use it right in the MISTI as long as I take out that extra foam piece. And I'll use the Gina K amalgam ink. This is the Obsidian Black, and I really like using this when I'm going to be Copic coloring. Today I will stamp out the Hoppy Poppy, and then I'm also going to stamp it on some masking paper. I have a scrap here of masking paper, and you know I always like to use my scraps up, so I'm going to be using it. It'll fit perfectly on this little piece here, and then I will go ahead and fussy cut that out and place it on top of the image that we've already stamped. Isn't she so cute? She's adorable. Now it's time to go ahead and use this large red rubber stamp. I have some clear tack and peel product on this large acrylic block, and this is what I normally use when I'm going to be using a red rubber stamp, but this is a rather large stamp, and so I kind of have a problem. You'll see in a minute. So what I normally do is I cut the red rubber so that it's close to the stamp without cutting the stamp itself, and then I place it on the acrylic block that has the tack and peel on it. Now this is something I leave on this acrylic block all the time. And I usually have a smaller stamp that I'm using, so I'll use it with my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig. You can see right here, I'm going to show you that I'm having a tough time with this one because it's such a large image and I keep getting one edge of the acrylic block down. I can't put it directly in the middle. I'm going to test it out on just a piece of paper here, but you're going to see that it's not really working for me. Now, there is a product out there that's called Easy Mount Cling Stamp material that you can use with your red rubber stamps, and it makes it easier to use with an acrylic block or with your MISTI. But guess what? I don't have any of that. I will link it below so you can check it out if you're interested, but I didn't have any, and I really wanted to use this with my Hoppy Poppy stamp, so I'm going to try something new with the MISTI. I have some repositionable adhesive, and I thought this would be something great that was temporary to stick onto my MISTI so that I could stamp that behind my little bunny stamp. So I put that all over the back of the red rubber. Now, I've never done this before, so this is a test. You're going to see if this works or not. But you know, we do have to be a little creative sometimes. We are creative types, right? Card makers, creators. So I thought I'd give it a try. So I'm putting that on the acrylic block, or I'm sorry, on the MISTI stamp press with some temporary adhesive. I'm going to test it out on a random piece of paper here again, and it stamped beautifully. It worked great, but wait, my my ordeal is not over yet. So even though this worked really great, I stamped it the first time, but I wanted to have a set of 3 different flowers. So I wanted that flower to be in a different position for the next 2 flowers. I thought, well, okay, I'm going to go ahead and move this over. I'm going to take it off the MISTI, but then my adhesive stuck to the MISTI, partially stuck to the MISTI and partially stuck to my stamp. So I thought it's better to keep it on the MISTI and just move the paper so that I move the paper to where I want that stamp to stamp. Now, I did this the next couple of times and it worked just fine. As long as I wasn't moving that stamp around, the removable adhesive kept it on my MISTI. Stay tuned because I'm going to show you what happens at the end and how to get this cleaned up. But you know, I love a good hack, and even though I hate that word, I love being able to do something that I couldn't do before just by giving it a try and coming up with something creative, right? So look at this. I've got 2 of them stamped so far, and I created a mask for both of those so I could stamp one in the middle of the two and create kind of a flower garden. So you see, I like to use my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig piece of acrylic here. It's a plastic piece. You could use any acrylic or anything clear to just kind of get the placement of where you want that flower to be. And then it's just as simple as masking what you don't want to stamp over. So this is going to look like it's behind the other 2 flowers and behind my little bunny there. And then you stamp it. And that worked just perfectly. I'm going to use the center portion of the flower here to stamp on, and instead of using the repositionable adhesive, I've got a smaller block with the tack and seal, or the tack and peel. So that's what I'm going to use to stamp the rest of these. I cut them out close to the edges, and I'll use that there. And normally this is how I would do it. Stamp it on my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig, put it where I want it, line that up, and stamp it. It is so simple when you're using it with a smaller image, but with the larger flower, so much easier on the MISTI. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp the rest of these here, and I'll be right back. It's time to reveal all of the little scene here. I remove the mask of the bunny, and now we can color up this cute image that we created using cling stamps and rubber stamps together with a brilliant idea, or semi-brilliant. I'm going to start coloring the ground with some greens to give it more of a place for that bunny to stand on. Looks like she's just standing in the middle of this field of ginormous flowers. Have you ever stood in a field of ginormous flowers? I'm thinking sunflowers, but as I started coloring up this image, I thought more that they should be just happy spring colored flowers. But you could totally color this as sunflowers. It would be adorable. I really love the happy feeling that this whole scene gives, and when we add color to it, it's just going to come even more alive. I'm leaving some of this coloring in, although I am going to skip through a lot of it to get to the end so you can see how this card all came together, how we finished it off, and how I settled that red rubber with the MISTI at the end. And I did figure out a trick for that as well. I'm using 3 different colors of green inks here, and I will list all of the colors at my blog if you're interested. I have them up at the top of the screen too. For the greens, I'm just using 3 different colors, adding a little bit of shading here and there. For Hoppy Poppy, I thought she would be just so happy in yellows. Since I was thinking sunflowers, I think I automatically went to yellow. So I'm going to be doing some yellows and some oranges to darken up her dress. And we're doing some really simple Copic coloring to get this whole scene finished and uploaded. It is so happy. You can do as much shading as you want to. As I say, I'm doing just some simple Copic coloring today using 3, sometimes 4 different colors of shading and going back and forth. I usually will start with the lightest color, go to my dark color, then I'll blend it out with the medium color and back down to the light color again. So that's typically how I like to do my coloring. I'm going to add a little bit of pink to this cute bunny, to her ears and to her nose, and then also I will use some cool grays to color up her bunny fur. So I want to hear from you on what are your favorite stamps to use. Have you ever used red rubber stamps? Have you used it with the Easy Cling Mount stamp? Or do you use the clear tack and peel like I tried to at the beginning? Do you just use cling stamps or photopolymer stamps? Or do you like the red rubber with the cling on the back already? I just would love to hear what you use the most, what you love the most. So leave me a comment below so I can know what you like, and also leave me a comment below if you like watching coloring videos or if you would rather just skip on over all of that. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of music so you can watch some of this Copic marker coloring if you're interested. If not, scoot on down to the end and I'm going to tell you how we finished all of this up and how I made sure that the MISTI was good to go and unharmed from using that red rubber stamp. I just wanted to mention that in the center of this flower, I'm doing little squiggle lines. So these are kind of like S shapes, mostly squiggles, just to give it some interest. And I'm using the E79 as the darker brown and then coming in with a lighter brown over the entire top of it to smooth it out a little and also to give it a little more brightness. Hey, I just wanted to mention that I chose these bright, happy flowers to hopefully make you smile just a little bit in this time. I know a lot of people are struggling, and there are some days when I do too. In fact, yesterday, or was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday, we just found out that our son and his wife are moving in June, moving out of the house, and that made me kind of sad because it's been lovely having them here, but I am happy that they're moving on and going off to finish up the last year of college that they have in northern Arizona at NAU. So anyway, I hope this does make you smile. I hope this brings a little bit of happiness to your heart as well. To finish this whole card up, we're going to give it a nice bright blue stripedy sky. And the stripes will be kind of reminiscent of clouds, just a little bit of clouds here and there. I am not being very careful in this. By the time I got to the part of the sky, I just wanted to get the color down. I had already spent a lot of time on the flowers, so I am actually just putting down color, spreading it out or blending it out with the next lightest color, and I go over it and over it again and again until I'm happy with the way it turns out. Now you can spend more time on this if you would like to make it look more like clouds, but this was just kind of a wispy idea of a cloudy sky and to give a little more interest to this one layer card. I'll just add a few highlights with a white gel pen here, just in the spots where the sun is shining down. I am imagining that the light is coming from the upper right hand corner, so that gives a little bit of a highlight, a little brightness to that side. I'll just add a few where I feel like it looks right. Now a few white Nuvo drops and some translucent Nuvo drops on her dress, and then the pink on her nose, a few little dots on her ears as well for a little more interest. That's going to finish up the most of our card. Now I'm just going to add a small little sentiment that says, "Hi." This came with the Hoppy Poppy stamp set. Now here's where I found that the MISTI, most of the removable adhesive stuck to the MISTI. I was able to get it off the red rubber really easily with my fingers, but it did like to stick to the MISTI. I just used an adhesive eraser and it was good as new. So this technique and this trial worked out really well for me. I hope you enjoyed this card today. The last thing I'm going to do is just attach it to a top folding 110-pound white card base. And there is our sweet little bunny in the garden. This can be used as any spring card to send happiness and cheer to anyone that you love. I hope you enjoyed this process today and watching me try a new technique with red rubber stamps and the MISTI. Leave me a comment below and let me know once again what kind of stamps are your favorite. And I hope I see you next time. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. I'll be back real soon with some more cards and inspiration. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.